Thanks to Baron of Dice, Grey Matter Gaming, and Monument Hobbies for sponsoring this video. Since before the Tau Empire was called the Tau Empire, alien auxiliaries have been a key part of their identity. Unlike almost every other group in the galaxy, the Tau sometimes recruit defeated aliens to the cause of the greater good, incorporating them into the Empire as valued partners, and totally not using them as meat shields. These auxiliaries take the field alongside the Firecast, combining their unique talents and capabilities with Tau technology. We got an expanded look at the Kroot in the Tau Codex with the Kroot Hunting Pack, but for Grotmas, the Empire is celebrating the spirit of togetherness with a detachment focused on auxiliary and Tau units fighting side by side. Today we'll take a look at the options this gives you in the Auxiliary Cadre detachment. If you'd like to read more, head on over to goonhammer.com. Link in the description. Detachment Rule: Integrated Command Structure. Kroot and Vespid units gain the Targeting Triangularity ability. While an enemy unit is within 9 inches of and visible to a unit with this ability, all Tau Empire units, excluding Kroot and Vespid, gain +1 AP with their shooting attacks targeting that unit. All Tau Empire units, excluding Kroot and Vespid, gain the Localized Stealth Projector ability. While a Kroot or Vespid unit is wholly within 6 inches of a unit with this ability, they cannot be targeted by shooting attacks from outside of 18 inches. The big draw here is obviously the first part of the effect. For an army that can build for high volume and that has good access to Ignore's cover, additional AP is very strong. The Retaliation Cadre detachment already provides one way of getting that, but this is broader in who it can affect, AP4 Sky Rays being a particular highlight, and doesn't require putting your best units in harm's way, instead being able to send some cheap Kroot to die heroically. Missile Fire Knives, Sky Rays, and Burst Cannon Riptides all win especially big from this, but fundamentally it just makes your stuff better at what you want them doing already. The back half is much more niche, as this detachment wants you throwing your auxiliaries forward a lot of the time, but it does have a nice interaction with solo Krootoks, who are already a useful backfield objective holder and can now be protected in the open if you have a nearby ally hiding behind a wall. Unsurprisingly, the enhancements focus on augmenting your auxiliaries, mostly Kroot as they've got more options. Student of Kalyan gives up to 3 Kroot Carnivore or Farstalker units Deep Strike. It doesn't help you much, and they can't Deep Strike close enough to actually take advantage of the detachment rule. Admired Leader lets one of your Tau characters boost the OC and leadership of a nearby Kroot or Vespid unit for a turn. This is a good way to give speedy Vespid and Kroot Hound units an OC boost, then send them off to steal an objective from your opponent. Fanatical Convert lets a Kroot character take advantage of the For the Greater Good rule. Turning your Lone Spear into a Marker Light Spotter is pretty neat. Transponder Lock module lets one of your Battlesuit characters Deep Strike on turn 1, provided they drop within 12 inches of a Kroot or Vespid unit and outside the normal 9-inch range from enemy units. Dropping a Battlesuit commander and their whole entourage on turn 1 makes for part of a nasty alpha strike, and all the more reason to take cheap units of Kroot Hounds. This detachment's got a strong set of stratagems that'll have you burning through command points. Experimental Modifications gives an AP boost to Kroot or Vespid melee or shooting. Its best use is on countercharging Krootok's Rampagers, but your Vespid going up to AP3 for a round of shooting might be nice too. Multisensory Scanning lets a Tau unit reroll 1s to wound when they shoot or fight, or full rerolls to wound for Kroot and Vespid. It's broadly useful across the army and lets your auxiliaries punch up effectively, especially if you can set up a combo with experimental modifications. Interlocking Maneuvers has you pick a unit that could have fought in the fight phase and either have them fall back at the end of the fight phase or make a normal move if they're unengaged. This is an extremely flexible movement stratagem, letting you even pile back into a transport provided you didn't get out of one this turn. It's a great way to pinball one of your units in and out of combat and onto an objective. Note that there's only a movement cap on the fallback move, so a Cold Star team could potentially get a free 12-inch move out of this. This is great, and also forces opponents to be really careful about going for those bully charges when you have the command points, as it can just hand you free movement. Pheromone Waypoints is an automatic 6-inch advance on a Kroot or Vespid unit, great for marking targets with the detachment ability or just getting around. Alien Expertise lets any of your units advance and shoot, and lets them charge 2 if they're Kroot or Vespid. This is always a good stratagem, and can combo with the Pheromone Waypoints for some long bomb charges. Guided Fire is a flat +1 strength bonus to a mainline Tau unit shooting, or +2 strength if your unit is wholly within 9 inches of a Kroot or Vespid unit. This can help you hit some key breakpoints and benefits anything from your humble fire warriors to your biggest battlesuits. Making the most out of this detachment will involve a solid firebase of Tau units and an advanced element of your Kroot and Vespid auxiliaries. Send plentiful, cheap units of auxiliaries up the board, tagging enemy units with targeting triangulation, then bring the hammer down with your battlesuits and other big guns. This can lead to a highly aggressive playstyle, building on a close-range Alpha Strike archetype with transponder-lock battlesuits and rapidly moving breacher teams. You've also got so many great stratagems that you'll absolutely want an ethereal for the command point generation, as this detachment doesn't have any built-in ways to generate more. The biggest challenge will be doing enough damage before your fragile units of auxiliaries get swept off the table and your big guns can do their work. Those auxiliaries also want to be up close and personal to enemy units, but not necessarily in combat with them. Hemming enemy units in, move blocking, and just standing around them will be how you get the most with your shooting, maybe charging in to finish the job if your guns don't do the trick. This opens up your auxiliaries to getting countercharged, but better them than your battlesuits. Now let's go over the strengths and weaknesses here. A cohesive, coherent detachment rule that plays to the mobility of auxiliaries and the strength of Tau's shooting. Great stratagems that support units across the entire Tau roster. Early game Alpha Strike potential. Now the problem is, this is built around Kroot and Vespid units who are easily focused down, and doing so will defang this detachment entirely. Despite being the focus, those Kroot and Vespid units are also still just playing support for the rest of the Tau. You've also got high command point demand in a faction that can only get extra ones on a 4-up. This detachment should encourage a fairly mobile playstyle, continuing to break up the sedentary gun lines of old in favor of something far more dynamic. Fortunately, the best units in the faction, its battlesuits, will still have a home here, supported by the auxiliaries that make up the detachment's namesake. It's a detachment with some competitive teeth, good at both controlling the board and taking your opponent off of it. However, even if the detachment's named for them, the Tau auxiliaries are still only supporting players. If you'd like to read more about this detachment and see how we'd try and cram this Whitman sampler of Xenos into a list, head on over to goonhammer.com for a write-up. You can also support us on Patreon for more content, or just because you like what we do. We'd also like to thank our sponsors, Baron of Dice, Monument Hobbies, and Grey Matter Gaming, for sponsoring this video. I've been Crutox McStingwing, wondering if orc meat is vegan. Thanks for watching.